Peace, and assalamu alaikum. Peace and assalamu alaikum. This is your brother Malcolm Flex TV. Go ahead and share this video. Please share this video. Let's get this message out. It's going down. Okay, and this is the last part of this particular series. Okay, this is the last part of this particular series. Family, this is your brother Malcolm Flex TV. You know, I'm waiting for some more brothers and sisters to come in, so they can hear this message. You know, hold on one second. Yes, let's get it. We are definitely in the building. And this particular video is about to blow the lid. Peace to you, Brother Devon. Walaikum salam, sir. This video, we about to go in on all these pseudos. You know what I mean? Who are critical of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that was given to him by Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Okay, we about to blow the lid with this video. This and it's the reason why I left Shabazz himself out last. Okay, we say the best parts for last, and I think I did a good job at that, because some of the information that your brother was able to come across was definitely nothing short of profound. Nothing short of profound. Okay, I had a conversation with a particular brother within a community a couple days ago. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to say who he is. I ain't going to put him on blast. He's a good brother. You know, older brother. I got respect for him. You know, but he was making the claim that us black people, we have no connection to those people over in Egypt or Arabia, you know, because in Arabia, the Y chromosome that's passed down from father to son is Y chromosome J. And he said that us, the people who come from West Africa, are Y chromosome E1B1A. Right? You hear many brothers in the Hebrew Israelite also claim this Y chromosome. Right? And they beat up on the Hebrew Israelites a lot as well. So he said, you know, we ain't got no connection to over there because it's predominantly the JY chromosome over there. Right? And, you know, of course, you know me, I naturally had to just go and do my research. Right? And yes, it is the JY chromosome is a European it's an Indo-European genetic marker, right? But when I did the research, when your brother did the research, okay, the E1B1A genetic marker is also present in Arabia. Right? Is also present in Arabia. Right? So when I presented this information to this particular brother, right, I'm not going to put him on blast and say who he is, you know, and I told him, I said, bro, The E1B1A genetic marker that we have, okay, is also present in Arabia. There's a very small percentage of it there, but it is present there, right? So he began to tell me, oh no, bro, it's two different E1B1As. Right? He told me it's two different E1B1A genetic markers. He said that those in Arabia genetic markers are different from the genetic marker in the so-called African American or the so-called black people in the Caribbeans. It's a different one, right? So I'm like, bro, that don't make no sense. How is going? So you saying that we have a duplicate genetic marker from those who are in Arabia? Whose genetic marker is older, theirs or ours? Who, right? And he gave me an analogy, right? And he said, okay, I'm gonna give you an analogy. He said, for instance, I'm Malcolm Flex 1, 2, 3. You Malcolm Flex 4, 5, 6, right? And he said, if you move to California and I move to New York and I have a children and you have children, our children are not the same people. They're not related. I said, bro, if you my brother and you move to New York and I move to California and we both have children, that still means that they're cousins. So what you saying don't make sense, right? And I gave him an example. And I said, okay, for example, I got a big mama, a great grandmother, right? We talking genetics, right? Because we going to prove through DNA that that there was a man named Shabazz, and the people called the Tribe of Shabazz, who existed in ancient antiquity, in a remote period of time in our history, right? So we talking genetics. So I gave him an example. I said, okay, I got a big mama, great grandmother, right? And I said she had 3 daughters, my grandmother and both of my grandmother's sisters, right? I said one of the sisters moved to New York. Another sister moved to Arizona. And my grandmother, she's still in California, right? And I said, my grandmother's sisters have children and they have children. And then my grandmother had my mother, then my mother had me. I said, regardless to where our people, regardless to where these people traveled, we are still relatives. Those are still my cousins. We are still family. Why? Because our origin goes back to our big mama, right? Our great grandmother. That's our origin right there. So we are still related. Right? So, he didn't have no comeback for that, right? I got him up against the ropes. So when I had him up against the ropes, he had to get another brother who is known in this so-called conscious community on the phone on the 3-way with me. Right? Because I had him. So he needed some help. He went and got some help because I was on him. Right? So, so then he was like, oh, because I had sent, because one thing about them, when you would, peace to you, Brother Josh, one thing about these brothers, these particular brothers in the conscious community, if you make a claim, they want to see the source, right? They want to see the source. They don't just want to hear you talking. So I hit them with the first source, the first few sources. Hitting them with back-to-back sources, right? So the brother like, oh, well, let me go back because I think Wikipedia made a mistake. And he was saying that no, it wasn't the E1B1A that went into South Arabia, because what I was telling them was I said the reason why I have an issue with what you was telling the people on your show is because when you was talking about the JY chromosome, you didn't tell them where the JY chromosome were and who these people were. Okay? You left that information out. And these are Indo-Europeans. who hold the JY chromosome. Even the Ashkenazi Jew is a carrier of the JY chromosome. Okay, that's why they think that they the real Jews, but they wrong. Right now, I was telling them this, and I said the ancient people who inhabited that land in Arabia are the carriers of the EY chromosome, or from the E haplogroup, right? And he wanted to know the reason why that was, why J was dominant and E wasn't dominant. I told him because just as Dr. Wesley Muhammad said, he said that Arabia is now ran by Indo-Aryan Europeans. They are the ruling class in Arabia, and many of those, and they are called the Musta Ariba. Right? These are the Aryanized Arabs. They're called Musta Ariba. He said the Al Ariba, the black Arabs, had moved further south in southern Arabia. Right? And I explained to the brother, I said, brother, many of those people who have the subclade haplogroup E1B1A that you said that we are, many of them are in southern Arabia. Right? And he was like, no, brother, but because Wikipedia messed up and it's not E1B1A that went to South Arabia. It was he said it was EM232 or something of that to that nature, right? Because he's trying to trap me. At this point, he's trying to trap me and trying to say, oh, we was arguing for nothing. It was really another genetic marker that went down there. But I had another article, and I showed another article saying that the genetic marker E1B1A is, and they named the countries that are in near Southern Arabia and in Southern Arabia with this genetic marker. So when I hit them with another source, because you know they big on sources, they love to ask brothers for sources, and if you ain't got no sources, that's where they checkmate you. But I'm checkmating them with these sources. So when I brought up another source, the other brother that was brought on to the three-way was getting upset, like, oh man, why you reading that with that? But y'all asked for sources, so I gave you another source. You understand what I'm saying? Because they want to do whatever they can to try to prove an individual wrong, even if they ain't got no sources themselves. They just want to see what you got and try to interpret what you have so it can fit their narrative. And you know, we spoke for a couple hours on the subject, man, and your brother was wrangling with these couple of individuals who are in this so-called conscious community. They well known, but I'm not going to state no names. I'm just kind of giving y'all understanding of how deep I am into this whole DNA proving that so-called African Americans are the tribe of Shabazz. I'm not playing no games with this information. Peace to you, Dr. Marole. Peace to you, Josh Mason, Brother Devon. We got anybody else in the house? And shout out to Sister Hairstyles by Owner. She told me that her daughter was actually listening to the first show and didn't want to listen to no music one night. She wanted to relax, and she just spent the rest of the night just listening to your brother's video, the very first lecture series on this series. So shout out to that sister and her daughter, man. All praises due to Allah. Walaikum salam, brother Ron G and K Solo. Peace to y'all, my brothers. Yeah. So that showed me that we having that conversation with these two brothers that are well-known, well-versed, and well-studied in this so-called conscious community, and your brother, little old Malcolm Flex, was able to wrangle and confound these brothers with empirical data and information. okay, with empirical data and information showing and proving that they are not really learned in this particular subject, okay? And I'm still a baby in this particular subject. I just got a DNA genetics book today, okay? All praise due to Allah. So yeah, I don't want to just talk y'all ears off, but I know y'all here to see the proof. I know y'all are here to see the proof, and I'm not going to deny you the information, everything that I'm coming with. You can also look it up yourself. Okay. Now, if you previously watched, I'm gonna go to the notes in a second. I just want to give a quick summary of the videos prior to this one. If you watch the videos prior, what I do is I explain how the maternal line from mother to daughter was a haplogroup called L3, right? And what I showed you all was there was a paternal line that's passed down from father to son. The Y chromosome that's passed down from father to son was haplogroup E, right? And I showed you in the prior videos that the biologists and the scientists said that wherever the maternal lineage L3, wherever she traveled, the paternal line, the Y chromosome E, haplogroup E, was always with her. And I also showed that in ancient antiquity, at one point, there was a father group, right? There was a father group or a father haplogroup, right? That's right above the haplogroup E was D and E, and D and E had eventually split and part ways. Okay, D and E had eventually split and part ways. And scientists are saying that the D, haplogroup D, the genetic marker D, the majority is in Asia, and the majority of haplogroup E, which is us, is in Africa. Right? So there was a major split, right? So what I'm gonna read to you from Message to the Black Man, because we gotta start it off with the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in Message to the Black Man. Right? Because what I'm is becoming to know and starting to believe, just based on my research, is that the story that Master Fard Muhammad gave to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad isn't just a story that's symbolic, but it's also telling a genetic story, a DNA story, or Shabazz, he left a genetic footprint for us to go back through science to follow it and find them. Okay? I think Master Fard Muhammad was that wise. Right? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad was that wise. The more I'm beginning to understand it, because the DNA footprint is verifying the story that was given to us by our leaders. Right? I'm going to repeat that. The DNA footprint is verifying the story that was given to us by our leaders. And I'm going to prove it. Okay? So I'm going to start off reading Message to the Black Man. If you got your Message to the Black Man, please go to page 31. The chapter is titled Original Man, Know Thyself, right? Original Man, Know Thyself, right? And I'm going to start off from the second paragraph. Or just let me know if y'all with me as well. I got some people in the room. I just want to know y'all with me. I don't see no movement up in there. But let's share this video. Let's keep the traffic going because this is important information. All right. It is Allah God's will and purpose that we shall know ourselves. Therefore, he came himself to teach us the knowledge of self. Who is better knowing of who we are than God himself? He made a declaration that we are descendants of the Asian black nation of the tribe of Shabazz. You might ask, who is this tribe of Shabazz? Originally, they were the tribe that came with the earth or this part 66 trillion years ago when a great explosion on our planet divided it into two parts. One we call Earth and the other Moon. This was done by one of our scientists, God, who wanted the people to speak one language, one dialect for all, but was unable to bring this about. He decided to kill us by destroying our planet, but still he failed. We were lucky to be on this part of the earth, which did not lose its water in the mighty blasting away of the part called Moon. Right? We, the tribe of Shabazz, listen, we, the tribe of Shabazz, says Allah God, were the descendants to discover the best part of our planet to live on, the rich Nile Valley of Egypt and the present seat of the holy city Mecca, Arabia. Okay? We, the tribe of Shabazz, says Allah, were the first to discover the best part of our planet to live on. We discovered this part. Right? So we was in one place at first and we left that place and we discovered these other parts, this rich part, okay, which is the rich Nile Valley of Egypt and the present seat of the holy city Mecca of Arabia. Okay, this is the messenger's words. The origin of our kinky hair, says Allah, came from one of our dissatisfied scientists 50,000 years ago, right, who wanted to make all of us tough and hard in order to endure the life of the jungle of East Asia or Africa and to overcome the beast there. Okay, but he failed to get the others to agree with him. Okay, he took his family and moved into the jungle to prove to us that we could live there and conquer the wild beasts, and we have. Okay, so walaikum salam, brother Ricky. So there you have it. I just read to you the messenger's words that we discovered the best part of the planet, which is the rich Nile Valley of Egypt and Arabia. What he's saying was we was at one point and then we moved to these locations and then we moved back into Central Africa or East Asia. Okay? I'm going to read some of the comments. Brother Ron G, yeah, because Dr. Ava said the whole planet was tropical before the explosion. Yes, sir. Brother Danubian, walaikum salam, brother. Right? So I've been showing you different migrations through genetic markers and where these individuals were, where they went, and then where they came back to. Right? Now, listen, this stuff is important, man. Your brother has been taking his time out doing this, so I want y'all to really listen and soak in, because I'm putting these in different parts and segments so y'all can have an understanding of what I'm saying and what's going on. Okay, so before I get into the languages, okay, before I get into the languages, I'm going to go over the actual DNA and where these people were. And we're going to do it like that. Okay. Okay. Oh, assalamu alaikum, brother Nate. All praise due to Allah. Thank you, brother. Okay. Now, this right here, you can find this. It's called biology, and the name of this particular website that you can look up on Google is called Y-DNA haplogroups. Y-DNA haplogroups, right? That's the chromosome that's passed down from father to son, right? But we looking up specifically Y chromosome E. Why? Because I show you where Y chromosome E is predominant geographically. Peace to you, brother Wisdom X. Right? So this is the origin. How many, if y'all can see let me know if y'all can see my screen, if I gotta blow it up. But this is the origin. Right? Now, according to biologists, haplogroup Y chromosome E, haplogroup E, right, is the paternal line passed down from father to son. Now, the origin, it says at the top, the origin is between 50 and 55,000 years ago in East Africa or the Near East. In East Africa or the Near East, 50 to 55,000 years ago, this particular Y chromosome originated. I'm not buffering. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Yeah, because I'm cool. Okay. 50 to 50. Now again, I'm going to read it again. The origin of our kinky hair, says Allah, came from one of our dissatisfied scientists 50,000 years ago who wanted to make all of us tough and hard in order to endure the life of the jungles of East Asia and to overcome the beast there, right? 50,000 years ago, right? So if you want to see the migration map, right, it shows you a people leaving East Africa. They went into the Near East where they matured, and eventually they went back into Africa, Central Africa. Right? According to biologists. So when you go down to E1, B1A, this is the argument that a lot of people have. right? E1B1A, mutation V38, right? Current populations, E1B1A, where my arrow is, E1B1A is the most common Y haplogroup in sub-Saharan Africa, reaching a frequency of 99% in Central West Africa. In Central West Africa, where many of us were located when we got picked up during the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. All right. That's it for that. Now, I'm gonna read some of this article. Very profound article. Okay, brother, I believe who's a black man who considers himself an Israelite. He said in his article in Quora, and the title of it is, "How many people in the world are estimated to have E1B1 DNA, a genetic marker of the ancient Hebrew Israelites, and where are most located today?" And he answered, "There is plenty evidence to suggest that the E1B1A DNA haplogroup is linked to the ancient Hebrews, if not the lands of Canaan, Syria, and other Middle Eastern locations. People just don't like to look at it." Right? He said that they, if are the ancient Hebrews, if not the lands of Canaan, Syria, and other Middle Eastern locations. People just don't like to look at it. Let me take this from the top with the EP2 ancestor of the E1B1A haplogroup to expose and address some of the omissions in the other answers to this question. EP2, also known as E1B1, is a human Y chromosome DNA haplogroup. This paternal clade had an ancient presence in the Middle East and is now primarily distributed in Africa, with lower frequencies in the Middle East and Europe. Natufian fossils that were analyzed for ancient DNA were found to carry the paternal haplogroup E1B1, okay? Or other examples like E1B1A1, E1B1B1. Okay, this haplogroup is now found mostly in Africa, mainly in the form of its predominant subclades EM215 and EV38. EM215 is more common in North Africa and the Horn of Africa, and is also found at lower frequencies in Middle East, Europe, and South Africa. EV38 is more common in West Africa, Central Africa, Southern Africa, and the African Great Lakes, and occurs at low frequencies in North Africa and Middle East. Okay, hold on real quick. So I want to make sure I read the right parts, because they going over all the samples. Okay, right here he states, "I'm not a big science guy, all right, but it's very clear stated here that the E1B1 DNA haplogroup had an ancient presence in the Middle East, even modern-day Israel, but is now found mostly in Africa today. Although a few people in the Middle East and Europe still carry this particular haplogroup, the dating of those Natufian bodies with E1B1A1 DNA they examined today goes back at least 12,500 to 9,500 BC. Although I admit I don't have much respect for the unreliable dating methods scientists use, they've used radioactive carbon dating on animals that recently died to come up with datings that point to the things having lived a couple thousand years ago. Anyways, we've established a presence and a precept. The fathers of those with haplogroup E1B1A1 dwelt in the land of Israel at some point. Now let's explore the offshoots of mutations of the E1, B1, and EP2 people and where they live today. Right now, this is important. This is important, right? Because I'm gonna show y'all that because there's also different names for E1B1A, right? And I'm gonna show that to y'all. Haplogroup EV38 is a human Y chromosome. It's right here. It's a little small. Haplogroup EV38 is a human Y chromosome haplogroup. It is primarily this. Did I read this one? No, okay, I read this one. Let me keep going. Want to make sure I read the right one for y'all. Hold on one second, family. Certain portion that I wanted to touch on. Okay, I'm going to read this portion right here. Okay. The first recorded incidents of E1B1A appearing was in a 4,500-year-old sample from Ethiopia called Moda. That's a couple hundred years before Abraham was born. Another factor that leads me to believe that groups like the Natufians and the ancient Ethiopians were Shemitic and possibly West Eurasian in origin. Okay, he said the Ethiopians were Shemitic and possibly West Eurasian in origin, is the fact that the parent haplogroup E is DE. Okay, so they were in the area of Arabia, Turkey, Persia, and like India, right? And he's saying that another factor that leads me to believe that groups like the Natufians and the ancient Ethiopians were Shemitic and possibly West Eurasian is the fact that the parent haplogroup of E, right, which what I'm saying is haplogroup E is the atom of our haplogroup. And I'm saying that this man Shabazz is the atom or the basal lineage, the basal meaning the base or foundation. I'm saying that Shabazz is the basal or the base of, look at my arrow, haplogroup E, right? So what this man is saying is, according to biologists as well that I read in the other videos, is that the origin is the fact that the parent haplogroup of E is DE, a haplogroup rarely found in the world today. DE is rarely found in the world today. Outside of a few cases in Nigeria and Africa where E now dominates, and in Nepal where haplogroup D dominates in Asia. The natural assumption is that DE might have originated and split somewhere in between India and Arabia, the Middle East. Okay, they split somewhere in between India and Arabia in the Middle East. Okay, so again, when we go back and read what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he said, the origin of our kinky hair, says Allah, came from one of our dissatisfied scientists 50,000 years ago who wanted to make all of us tough and hard in order to endure the life of the jungle of East Asia, Africa, and to overcome the beast there. But he failed to get the others to agree with him. He took his family and moved into the jungle to prove to us that we could live there and conquer the wild beasts, right? And I was having a conversation with the brother that I was talking about earlier over the phone, him and the other brother, right? And I was letting them know that, and I had to ask them the question, okay, on the phylogenetic tree meaning the haplogroups by alphabetical order, A through R, for the Y chromosome, right? And I said, which Y chromosome is older? Y chromosome E or Y chromosome J? And the reason why that's relevant is because he was saying that Arabia is mainly populated right now by Y chromosome J. And I told him those Y chromosome J people are the Indo-Aryan Europeans who are the present rulers of that area. Same thing that Dr. Wesley Muhammad said when he spoke about the Musta Arabas, the white Arabs, right? But I'm just speaking in a DNA genetic language, right? That yes, these were Indo-Aryan Europeans. That's why they're the majority there. But the original people in that land are black Africans. Therefore, the haplogroup E is much older than haplogroup J. Right? It's in alphabetical order. Okay? So that's very important. So E is considered more of a African haplogroup. Right? The reason why it's African because it originated in East Africa, somewhere like off the Horn of Africa. They moved out north, probably they either took the southern route down to Babel El. It's kind of hard for me to say. They took the southern route through southern Arabia, or they took the northern route through the Nile Valley, Egypt, through the Levant, in that area, right? And then they eventually came back. To Central Africa, right? But these were the Proto-Afro-Asiatic people. Listen to what I'm saying. These were the Proto-Afro-Asiatic people. They spoke the Proto-Afro-Asiatic languages. They spoke the Proto-Afro-Asiatic languages. Listen. How did I discover this, right? Listen. Okay, so when the split happened between D and E, and D went further east into Asia, and E, haplogroup E, went further west into Africa, haplogroup E are the people, right, who gave birth to the Afro-Asiatic languages. And here's an article. Look what I found. Blow it up for y'all. I want y'all to see this. A European Journal of Human Genetics. Right? The title of this is called Y Chromosome E Haplogroups, Their Distribution and Implication to the Origin of Afro-Asiatic Languages and Pastoralism. Right? Now, This is important, right? So let me go and show you the map where the Afro-Asiatic languages were spoken. I'm going to show you a map. Hairstyles by owner. I remember that lecture. It was a dope lecture. Let me pull up a map right quick. I'm gonna show y'all where the Afro-Asiatic languages are spoken. It should be in this email. I don't know why it's not in this particular email right here. I'm gonna pull it up. Just give me a second. I thought I had it on here, but let me. I'm just gonna Google it. So I thought I had it in my emails. That's how I save my notes. I need to get a printer so I can print them out. I'm gonna go buy a printer. But this is important. I thought I had this image in my emails, man. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Let me show y'all this map. This might be a little blurry, but we live. Right? So now when you look at my map, when you look at your brother's map right here, you in the yellow, you have Afro-Asiatic. Now, does this remind you of what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said and where our people were? Right? This is the Horn of Africa where my arrow is. This is the horn. Okay? This where these people, I believe, were before they discovered the rich Nile Valley and the seat of the holy city of Mecca. Right? But this is where all the northern Africa, northeast Africa, and Arabia. Right? Where the Afro-Asiatic languages were spoken. Right? And in this you got 6 branches that are subdivided. You got Berber, Chadic, Cushitic, Egyptian, Omatic, and Semitic. Right? And like I said in the first video, if you remember, I said because a lot of these people got an issue with the messenger's usage of Asiatic. And our people will go into a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour debate just over the word Asiatic. Right? And they say, oh yeah, well, you know, the white Europeans created it through they originated in Latin, da 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 da. We ain't dealing with that. We don't care about that. Why? Because I sincerely believe and know that when the most honorable Elijah Muhammad referred to us as the Asiatic black man, is because we come from the people, right, who spoke the Proto-Afro-Asiatic languages, and we are the creators of the more modern Asiatic languages, the newer Asiatic languages. We are the creators of these languages. So I based on my research and data, understand why he called us the Asiatic black man, because we created the Afro-Asiatic languages. We were in this area over here, right? But I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you not just through DNA, but I'm gonna show you through language, because the language traveled with the people. Okay, the language migrated with the people. Wherever the people went, the DNA and the language went with them. Okay, so let's go to the Proto-Asiatic. Right, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to connect this. I'm going to show you how we're going to connect this. This particular article is named Afro-Asiatic Languages, written by H. Eckert Wolf. Okay, you can look it up in the Encyclopedia Britannica, written by H. Eckert Wolf. Right? But we want to go to this section. You can read all this stuff if you want to. This is just basically the introduction. But we want to go to relation to other language groups and origins, right? This is what we want to read right here. Because there's something in here that said that is in line what your brother has been teaching to validate the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's something in this paragraph that's important that I mentioned a little earlier in this video, and I'm going to go back to it. To the Proto-Asiatic languages. Now, this section is called Relation to Other Language Groups, Origins. The common ancestral dialect cluster from which all modern and extinct Afro-Asiatic languages are assumed to have originated is referred to as Proto-Afro-Asiatic. Proto-Afro-Asiatic is a great antiquity, right? It says Proto-Afro-Asiatic is of great antiquity. Experts tend to place it in the Mesolithic period at about 15,000, 10,000 BCE. There is no general consensus over the location of the Uramot, the original homeland from which began the migrations, right? They trying to figure out the original homeland, right? There's no general consensus over the location of the Uramot, the original homeland from which began the migrations into the present locations of the speakers. The doyen of Afrasian studies in the former Soviet Union, Igor Diakonov. I hate their names, man, because you can't even pronounce that stuff. Igor Diakonov theorized that it arose, theorized that it arose in what is now the Sahara. Listen, I'm giving y'all keys. Because I'm telling y'all where mitochondrial DNA, Eve, for haplogroup E, our ancient grandmother, and Y chromosome haplogroup E, our ancient grandfather, I'm telling y'all that these people were in East Africa, like I showed y'all right here, like I showed y'all on this chart. Origin of haplogroup E, around 50 to 55,000 years ago in East Africa, or the Near East, right? Arabia. Listen. So you gotta former Soviet Union Igor Diakonov, right, theorized that it arose in what is now the Sahara, from where several subsequent migrations took place after about 5000 BCE, including the exit from Africa by speakers of what would become the Semitic languages, right? But he's going to go down the routes too that I showed y'all on the map, where these people went in the earlier videos. Listen. Including the exit from Africa by speakers of what would become the Semitic languages. Diakonov accounted for the considerable linguistic diversity of Afro-Asiatic languages by suggesting that there was extensive inter-ethnic and inter-language contact throughout the region. Basically saying that all those people were basically the same people. They all knew each other. Okay? Because they spoke the proto-languages, they were able to still communicate with one another. They were still able to understand one another. Right? Largely extra-linguistic research based on the out of Africa theory. Right? Based on the out of Africa theory, what I've been teaching and sharing with y'all. Okay, largely extra-linguistic research based on the out of Africa theory for Homo sapiens sapiens has since placed the Euromot or Proto-Afro-Semitic in the Middle East, right? In the Fertile Crescent, right? In the Fertile Crescent. Where these people were the messengers saying where these people were. And according to the DNA. One of the regions in which agriculture developed 10,000 BCE. This would mean that speakers of Proto-Afro-Asiatic dialects migrated back into Africa via the Sinai Peninsula and the Nile River Valley before they eventually reached the ancient and present locations of the five. Let me back it up. This would mean that speakers of Proto-Afro-Asiatic dialects migrated back into Africa via the Sinai Peninsula and the Nile River Valley before they eventually reached the ancient and present locations of the five constituent language families in Africa. Egyptian, Nile Valley, Berber, North Africa, and Central Sahara. Chadic, Central Africa, or Lake Chad, the basin. Cushitic, Horn of Africa, Omotic, Southern Western Ethiopia. Much later migrations from South Arabia brought some Semitic languages into Eritrea and Ethiopia, again to be followed by the expansion of Arabic in the Islamic period. Right? And there's the map. There's the family. Right? So even they saying language-wise, these people migrated east and came back to Africa, right? But I don't agree with the language 100% because I believe Arabia and certain parts of that land is still Africa geographically, geologically. Excuse me. Okay. So that's their language. But what I'm saying is that these people, according to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm going to read it again. We, the tribe of Shabazz, says Allah God, were the first to discover the best part of our planet to live on, the rich Nile Valley of Egypt and the present seat of the holy city Mecca, Arabia. So you have the people who spoke the proto-languages. They left and found a different location and was living there for a little bit. Hold on right quick. And was living there for a little bit, and they split with the people that was there and went back into Central Africa. Again, this is back in this article, right? Brother said, another factor that leads me to believe that the groups like the Natufians and the ancient Ethiopians were Shemitic and possibly West Eurasian in origin is the fact that the parent haplogroup of E is DE. Okay, a haplogroup rarely found in the world today outside of a few cases in Nigeria and Africa, where E, haplogroup E, now dominates, and in Nepal, where haplogroup D dominates in Asia. There was a separation and a split between two people, and one of the people went back into Africa. Listen, the natural assumption is that DE might have originated and split somewhere in between India and Africa, the Middle East. Look, man, we got them. We got them. Listen, bro, we are not playing. We are not playing. Now, this article again, Y chromosome E haplogroups, their distribution and implication to the origin of Afro-Asiatic languages and pastoralism. Okay? Now, it says right here, abstract. Archaeological and paleontological evidences point to East Africa as the likely area of early evolution of modern humans. Genetic studies also indicate that populations from the region often contain, but not exclusively, representatives of the more basal clades of mitochondrial and Y chromosome phylogenies. Most Y chromosome haplogroup diversity in Africa, however, is present within macro haplogroup E. Listen, they said that Y chromosome haplogroup E is the most diverse African genetic marker in Africa. Is the most genetically diverse. So if you are E1B1A, you come from this macro haplogroup E, and you have the most diverse DNA. What the messenger say? He said that we got two people in us, a black germ and a brown germ. And according to scientists and biologists, I read in previous videos that haplogroup E and mitochondrial DNA, our ancient grandmother, L3, gave birth to all the populations across the globe. We not saying this. The biologists are saying this, but the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us who is the original man. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. We are the mothers and fathers of civilization, according to the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So listen, most Y chromosome haplogroup diversity in Africa, however, is present within macro haplogroup E that seem to have appeared 21,000 to 32,000 years, right? Somewhere between the Red Sea and Lake Chad. The combined analysis of 17 biallelic markers in 1,214 Y chromosomes together with cultural background of 49 population displayed in various metrics. Network, multi-dimensional scaling, principal component analysis, and neighbor joining plots indicate a major contribution of East African populations to the foundation of the macrohaplogroup, suggesting a diversification that predates the appearance of some cultural traits and the subsequent expansion that is more associated with the cultural and linguistic diversity witnessed today. The Proto-Afro-Asiatic group carrying the EP2 mutation may have appeared at this point in time and subsequently gave rise to different major population groups, including current speakers of the Afro-Asiatic languages and pastoralist populations. Right? This stuff gets deep. But I want to get to the points that are relevant to the discussion. Okay, it says right here in the article, intuitively, the high correlation between geographical distribution of some of the major E haplogroups and the distribution of Afro-Asiatic languages. Exemplary of established correlation between languages and genes as proposed by Kavili Sforza. Right? So what they're saying is, family, is that you can trace language by the DNA as well. So wherever the DNA genetic footprint goes, you can also trace DNA by that as well. So I mean, this is a lot. So does anybody have any questions as I continue? This is a lot. Does anybody have any questions before I continue? Because I don't want to just come on here and teach and not give y'all the opportunity to ask questions. Whether it be about the teachings or whatever, just ask anything. Because I want to be able to interact with y'all as well. So we good? Because I don't just want y'all I want y'all to be able to participate. We all students. We all in the classroom of Allah. See, and many biologists, they are looking at macro haplogroup E, this Y chromosome, this basal lineage. I mean, when I mean basal, I mean the founders. You know what I mean? This founding lineage, Y chromosome E, is a anomaly to scientists and biologists. Is an anomaly to them. Right? Just like the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is an anomaly to these so-called conscious people. Right? It's an anomaly. Right? So let me continue reading. Okay. No better venue to put such approach into practice in the area of the Sahel in East Africa. The Sahel, which extends from the Atlantic to the Red Sea coast of Sudan and Eritrea and the Ethiopian highlands, including fringes of the Sahara, right, has witnessed human population demographic events that were pivotal in prehistoric and historic periods of human history. Early occupation by Homo sapiens of the Red Sea coast of Eritrea and evidences of traces of earlier urban settlements in much of Eritrea are some of the archaeological and paleontological evidences that suggest a major contribution of this area to prehistory and migration, including the exodus of anatomically modern humans to Eurasia. So everybody's saying that there was a migration east in the Near East and even on the fringes of Eurasia and the back migration back into Africa. Furthermore, in addition to the area being strikingly rich in genetic and linguistic diversity, it is one of the few remaining enclaves of traditional pastoralism, a dying human culture. Although suggestions has been made that East Africa is the likely place of origin of Y chromosome haplogroups, including the major E haplogroups, yet key questions on human origin and dispersal remain not fully addressed. Right? They have questions that have not been fully addressed. Right? But Master Fard Muhammad gives us keys and clues. One query, however, is whether the major macro haplogroup E present almost in all continents and with particularly high frequency in East and North Africa in plethora of ancestral lineages because of gene flow or an original early event of in situ evolution. Okay, so again, this is a powerful article right here. I suggest, brothers and sisters, that y'all read this whole article. Y'all read this whole article because and tell me what y'all think. They got maps and stuff and everything. Kind of bring this down a little bit. Yeah, they got charts that we can also study. You know, and I gotta do some more studying as well on this topic. But it's very relevant to what's being said and what's going on. So hold on right quick. Looking for another article. Not this one. Okay, hold on right quick. Okay. So, back again to my conversation with this particular these particular brothers in the so-called conscious community over the phone. Right. So, basically, what he was saying is basically that the children of slaves whose ancestors came to North America, right, on slave ships, he said that we are West African, and at no point did we ever leave Africa. Right? In a sense, he's right. In a sense, he's wrong. In the sense, if you consider Arabia and even some parts of Eurasia still Africa, then he's right. But if you don't consider those parts of Africa, then he's wrong. In my opinion. Because I still think certain parts is still considered Africa. It depends on how far you go. And he said that because we are West African, right? Because brother, he thinks that we have always been in just West Africa, right? But if we are E1B1A and we come out of the macro haplogroup E, then it's impossible for us to only just have been in West Africa. I think I got an article that talks about that as well. I probably got to find that talked about that. Let me see if I can find it. But these brothers, they think that we just been over there in just this one location, and that's not true. I'm going to find it. Give me a second, though. I'm going to find it and show y'all. Because I'm trying to make a point. Right? So I showed him that brother. Because he's basically saying we have no connection whatsoever to Arabia. And what I'm showing him in the remote past of our history, we inhabited the lands of Arabia, Egypt, Northeast Africa, and East Africa, and even some portions of the Fertile Crescent, Eurasia. We inhabited these lands. Okay, we come from these lands originally, is what I'm explaining to him. Right? So I showed him, right, that with the E1B1A, DNA, you have 7.6% in Saudi Arabians. Right? I even showed them on this chart. That chart says 7.6. But this chart I also showed them. This is another chart. This one was a little less. On this one, it was, if you can see my arrow, was 3.2%. Right? 3.2%. And, wait, no, this one is in Yemen, excuse me. Where's the one in Saudi Arabia? Excuse me. Okay. It is 7.6% in Saudi Arabia, 3.2. So Yemen is in South Arabia as well. Right? So I'm telling him, bro, it's E1B1A in Saudi Arabia. In Arabia, South Arabia. These is where the original black Arabians are. Okay, that Dr. Wesley Muhammad was talking about. These are the Al Ariba, original black Arabs that the minister was teaching us about. Right? So he was telling me that they are a different E1B1A, you know, and it's not that, and what he was saying is that they ain't got that much E1B1A blood in them because they got a lot of admixtures. Right, which is partly true. Everybody have different admixtures because of our ancestors was messing around with different people. But what I had to explain to the brother is that he was reading the chart wrong. See, and that's very critical that we read the charts correctly. Right? So I asked him, I said, well, brother, what is the percentage of E1B1A in North America? Right? He was like, no, you can't do it that way. I'm like, no, sir. See, what he was doing was, because he wasn't reading the chart right, and I'm going to give y'all an example so y'all can understand it. I'm going to give y'all an example. It's like I round up 20 people from Arabia, and I'm saying that, this is what he's saying. I'm saying that these 20 people out of Arabia only got 7.6% E1B1A DNA in them, right? Which is wrong. He's reading the chart wrong. That's not what the chart is saying. Right? That's not what the chart is saying. what the chart is saying is that if I go to Arabia and I find a group of people within the population of Arabia, I find a small group of people, right? And I do test on them. I do DNA test on them. All this whole group right here makes up 7.6% E1B1A, represent E1B1A in that whole population. That means that the rest of the population is something else, right? So again, in Arabia, there's a small group of people that make up 7.6% of the population as far as E1B1A DNA. And the rest is the JY chromosomes, the Indo-Aryan Europeans who took over Arabia, right? And that's important. I hope y'all understand. Y'all are understanding what I'm saying, right? I'm talking about populations, not individuals. That's what the chart is representing. The chart right here is representing a population, right? So what I'm explaining to the brother is the chart is not talking about individuals having only 7.6%. It's talking about a population representing 7.6% who are carriers of the E1B1A DNA. And I said, brother, what's the percentage of so-called African Americans who are carriers of the E1B1A DNA? And I said, brother, if you can figure it out, I can guarantee you it's going to be a very small number, right? Well, look, I found it. Your brother found it. Your brother found it. Okay, again, you got E1B1A people in Saudi Arabia. It's only 7.6%. It's a small group of people who are in South Arabia, Southern Arabia, where these black Arabs are, right? And the E chromosome is an African chromosome, and these people are in South Arabia, and they make up 7.6% of the population, right? Now, when you go to the so-called African Americans, look at my arrow. When you go to this, hold on, let me blow up the next one just so y'all can see it. This is 7.6% in Saudi Arabians, right? We over there. Our people are over there in Arabia. Brother said we had no connection to these people. But I'm showing you we do through DNA. In America, the people with the E1B1A, and right here it says, the transatlantic slave trade brought people to North America, Central America, and South America, including the Caribbean. Consequently, the haplogroup is often observed in the United States populations in men who self-identify as African Americans. It has also been observed in a number of populations in Mexico, the Caribbean, Central America, and South America, wherever we went in the transatlantic slave trade, okay, among people of African descent, right? So again, when you look at U.S. so-called African Americans, we make up 7.7 to 7.9% of the total population who carry the genetic marker, the E1B1A chromosome, right? That connects us back to where? The Middle East and Africa. Egypt in Northeast Africa, the Horn of Africa, Arabia, and the fringes of Eurasia, right? Like I told the brother, there's not a major difference between Saudi Arabia with 7.6% and the so-called African American with 7.7 to 7.9%. Okay, and I show you in the previous videos before this one, how these people, through genetics, I'm doing genetic footprints, how these people went to where the places where the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, in the rich Nile Valley of Egypt, in the current seat of the holy city of Mecca. Okay, they were there for a little minute in that whole little area. Then they went back in to the jungles of Africa, through Central Africa, and I show through DNA, through the mitochondrial DNA and the Y chromosome DNA, that these are these people went to Central Africa, West Central Africa, South Central Africa, and many of them are currently now in West Africa, and enter the transatlantic slave trade. This is how our people were scooped up, because remember, Genesis chapter 15 verse 13 says, "Know of a surety, Abraham, that thy seed will be taken in a strange land amongst a strange people for over 400 years." Huh? And where was Abraham located? Abraham was located in the land of Chaldea. Okay? A place where they spoke the Proto-Afro-Asiatic languages. Family, you cannot make this stuff up, family. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot. We can't make this stuff up, family. So again, if anybody got a problem with the teachings of Master Fard Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we got the science proven through DNA and genetics and linguistics. We can solidly, we can accurately prove through DNA that we are the lost tribe of Shabazz over here in the hills and wilderness of North America. Right? And anybody who are carriers of the E chromosome. Anybody who are I don't care if they in the Caribbeans, if some in Mexico, Africa, Egypt. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we are the tribe of Shabazz. We are the original man. Shabazz represents the basal lineage of a macro haplogroup E. He is the founder of this genetic marker, haplogroup E. That's why he is so important, because Master Fard Muhammad said every 50,000 years represents a universal change. And what was that universal change? This man splitting with the rest of the scientists, because they didn't agree with him, and took his family into the jungles of Africa. And I was reading a book on DNA and genetics earlier today, and it stated that migration is responsible for physical mutations. Okay? This book, they don't know nothing about the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but they said that migrating to different environments are the cause for different mutations or polymorphisms. Right? Different mutations of polymorphisms. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that this man wanted to make a people stronger. Their hair became kinky. He was not lying.